Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Mahārāja's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Mahārāja on September 14th, 2022 in Sri Mayapur, India.
Sri Caitanya Ishwaram. Compilation of the Caitanya book, chapter titled The Glories of Srila Haridāsa Thakur.
The chapter is the snake charmer respects.
The chapter is the snake charmer respects the dancing Haridāsa Thakur but beats the dancing Brāhmaṇa. Under the section The Glories of Srila Haridāsa Thakur. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Kanda 16.198.
জৈনক ডঙ্কের সর্বক্রিয়কের আখ্যান। আরেক শোনো তার অদ্ভুত আখ্যান, নাগরাজ্যে কহিলা মহিমা তাহান।
Now please hear another wonderful incident that was narrated by the king of the snakes.
The pastime involving Haridāsa Thakur and the snake charmer.
The pastime involving Haridāsa Thakur and a snake charmer
And Brāhmaṇa was doing astrology.
and a Brāhmaṇa who was doing astrology. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Kanda 16.199.
জৈনক আড্রের গৃহে উক্ত সর্পদংষ্ট ডঙ্কের নিত্য। কদিন বড় এক লোকের মন্দিরে সর্প ক্ষত ডঙ্ক নাচে বিবিধ প্রকারে।
One day, a snake charmer was dancing in the courtyard of one wealthy man. Purport: the phrase Sarpa Kshata refers to being bitten by a snake or to a snake charmer who is possessed by the predominating deity of the snakes, Vasuki, who is invoked by mantras when one is bitten by non-poisonous snake. The word danka, derived from the Hindi word dank, meaning hood or stinger, refers to the person who makes a snake dance or to a snake charmer.
So it's not clear if the snake charmer was dancing or the snake charmer was causing a snake to dance.
So it is not clear whether the snake charmer was dancing or the snake charmer was causing a snake to dance. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Kanda 16.200.
ডঙ্কের চারিদিকে তদ উচ্চারিত মন্ত্র প্রভাবে তদীয় সঙ্গীগণের বাদ্য সহ গীত জ্ঞান। মৃদঙ্গ মন্দিরা গীত তার মন্ত্র ঘোরে, ডঙ্ক বেরি সবেই গায়েন উচ্চ স্বরে।
His associates played the mridanga and a flute used for snake charming as they loudly sang on all sides of the snake charmer. The snake charmer was absorbed under the influence of some mantras that he was chanting. Purport. The first line of this verse refers to singing to the accompaniment of musical instruments like the mridanga and cymbals, or to be maddened, overwhelmed, or absorbed in the snake charmer's chanting of mantras. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda, 16.201.
দৈবাত হরিদাসের আগমন ও ডঙ্কের নিত্য দর্শন। দৈব গতি তথায় হরিদাস, ডঙ্ক নিত্য দেখেন হইয়া এক পাশ।
By providence, Haridāsa Thakur came there and began to watch the snake charmer from the side. Purport. The phrase Daivagati means without any purpose or by one's own sweet will. Chaitanya Bhagavat.
Haridāsa Thakur, he came to that house just for the will of Providence.
So Haridāsa Thakur, he came to that house just by the will of providence.
He was watching the dancing.
And he was watching the dancing. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda, 16.202.
মন্ত্র প্রভাবে মানব শরীরে বাসুকীর নিত্য। মনুষ্য শরীরে নাগরাজ মন্ত্র বলে, অধিষ্ঠান হইয়া নাচয়ে কুতূহলে।
By the power of the mantras chanted by the snake charmer, the king of snakes had appeared in the body of the snake charmer and was happily dancing. Purport. The word Nagaraja refers to Sesha, the devotee of Lord Vishnu, Ananta or Vasuki. The word Adhisthana means situated or possessed. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Kanda, 16.203.
ডঙ্ক সঙ্গীগণের করুণ রাগে কালীয় হদে কৃষ্ণের কালীয় নাগ দমন লীলা গান। কালীয় দহে করিলেন যে নাট্য ঈশ্বরে, সেই গীত গায়েন কারুণ্য উচ্চস্বরে।
The snake charmer was loudly and sweetly singing about Krishna's dance in the Kaliya lake. Purport. The phrase Kaliya Dahe refers to the particular lake within the Kalindi river named Kaliya Daha. Being afraid of Garuda, the fierce, poisonous snake named Kaliya, the son of Kadru and Kashyapa, lived there with his family. For a description of this great snake Kaliya and the pastimes of Kṛṣṇa subduing this Kaliya by dancing on his heads in the Kaliya Daha, one should see Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15, 47 to 52, chapter 16, verses 1 to 12, and chapter 17, verses 1 to 12. As Kṛṣṇa, the master of all arts, danced on the heads of Kaliya at Kaliya Daha, the snake charmer imitated that dance while loudly singing songs about the great mercy Kṛṣṇa gave Kaliya on the pretext of awarding punishment.
This snake charmer was meditating and singing about Krishna's pastime, dancing on the head of Kaliya.
This snake charmer was meditating and singing about the pastime of Krishna dancing on the heads of Kaliya.
And thus he was in great ecstasy.
Thus, he was in great ecstasy. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.204.
কৃষ্ণ কৃপা মহিমা শ্রবণে হরিদাসের ভূপতন ও মূর্ছা শুনি নিজ প্রভুর মহিমা হরিদাস পরিলা মূর্ছিত হই কোথা নাহি শ্বাস।
As Haridāsa Thakur heard the glorious pastimes of the Lord, of his Lord. As Haridāsa Thakur heard the glorious pastimes of his Lord, he fell unconscious to the ground and his breath stopped.
Haridāsa Thakur, who was a pure devotee of Lord Krishna,
Haridāsa Thakur, who was a pure devotee of Lord Krishna,
he heard of Krishna's Kaliya pastime.
When he heard Krishna's Kaliya pastime,
He fainted in
he fainted in
ecstasy
ecstasy
and appeared like his breathing had stopped.
and it appeared like his breathing had stopped. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.205.
সংজ্ঞা লাভ অন্তে হরিদাসের আনন্দ হুঙ্কার ও নিত্য ক্ষণেকে চৈতন্য পাই করিয়া হুঙ্কার আনন্দে লাগিলা নিত্য করিতে অপার।
When he regained consciousness some moments later, he roared loudly and began to dance in ecstasy. Haridāsa Thakur was dancing extremely enthusiastically.
No limit to his natural ecstasy. No limit to his natural ecstasy.
No limit for it.
And there was no limit to his transcendental ecstasies.
Jai, Jai Haridāsa.
Caitanya Bhagavata, Adi Khanda 16.206.
হরিদাসের অপাকৃত ভাব মুদ্রা আবেশ দর্শনে ডঙ্কের এক পাশে সসম্ভ্রমে অবস্থান। হরিদাস ঠাকুরের আবেশ দেখিয়া এক ভীত হই ডঙ্ক রহিলেন গিয়া।
Seeing Haridāsa Thakura's ecstatic mood, the snake charmer stopped his dancing and stood off to the side.
When the snake charmer witnessed Haridāsa Thakur's spontaneous ecstatic dancing,
When the snake charmer witnessed Haridāsa Thakur's spontaneous ecstatic dancing,
he stood to the side
he stood to the side
and watched Haridāsa Thakur with great appreciation.
and watched Haridāsa Thakur with great appreciation. Caitanya Bhagavat, Adikanda, 16.207.
কৃষ্ণ প্রেমাবেশে হরিদাসের ফুল লণ্ঠন ও সাত্ত্বিক ভাব বিকার। গড়াগড়ি যায়েন ঠাকুর হরিদাস, অদ্ভুত পুলক অশ্রু কম্পের প্রকাশ।
Thakur Haridas rolled on the ground and wonderful ecstatic symptoms like hair standing on end, crying and shivering became manifest in his body.
Since Haridāsa had prema bhakti,
Since Haridas Thakur had prema bhakti,
it was very natural for him to express his ecstatic symptoms.
it was very natural for him to express these ecstatic symptoms. Caitanya Bhagavat, Adikanda, 16.208.
হরিদাসের প্রেম ক্রন্দন কৃষ্ণে তদ্গত চিত্ততা ও প্রভাব।
Gaura Hari, ecstatic Guru Maharaj.
Computer
It is fainted.
Computer fainted.
You have to read.
Caitanya Bhagavat, Adikanda, 16.208.
হরিদাসের প্রেম ক্রন্দন কৃষ্ণে তদ্গত চিত্ততা ও প্রেমাবেশ। রোদন করেন হরিদাস মহাশয়, শুনিয়া প্রভুর গুণ হইলা তন্ময়।
Haridas Thakur was fully absorbed in ecstatic love after hearing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and tears of love flowed from his eyes. Purport: overwhelmed by the snake charmer's songs describing Krishna's mercy, Haridas Thakur fell unconscious due to an awakening of love of God. Even symptoms of external consciousness like breathing could not be found in his body. After a while, he regained his external consciousness, roared loudly, and began to dance in ecstatic love of God. Seeing Mahabhagavata Vaishnava Thakura, Haridas Thakur, dance in the mood of love for Krishna, the snake charmer who was possessed by Anantadeva respectfully stood aside. Being absorbed in hearing and remembering Krishna's incomparably great quality of mercy on the fierce, cruel serpent Kaliya, Thakur Haridas became absorbed in love of Krishna and began to roll on the ground and cry as his transcendental body manifested tears, shivering, and hairs standing on end.
Haridāsa, hearing the glories of Lord Krishna
Haridas Thakur, hearing the glories of Lord Krishna
from the lips of the snake charmer,
lips of the snake charmer,
was experiencing different ecstasies of love of Godhead.
was experiencing different ecstasies of love of God.
And sometimes he was rolling on the ground, sometimes he felt unconscious.
Sometimes he was rolling on the ground, sometimes he fell unconscious.
And he was manifesting different ecstatic symptoms.
And he was manifesting different ecstatic symptoms.
So the snake charmer stood aside, being very
So the snake charmer stood aside.
he appreciated Haridāsa's natural love for Krishna.
He appreciated Haridas Thakur's natural love for Krishna. Caitanya Bhagavat, Adikanda 16.209.
প্রেমাবিষ্ট হরিদাসের চতুর্দিকে সকলের সহর্ষে কৃষ্ণগীত, সসম্ভ্রমে ডঙ্কের এক পাশে অবস্থান। হরিদাসে বেরি সবে গায়েন হরিষে, জোর হস্তে রহি ডঙ্ক দেখে এক পাশে।
Then everyone surrounding Haridāsa Thakur joyfully began chanting Krishna's glories, while the snake charmer respectfully Then everyone surrounding Haridāsa Thakur joyfully began chanting Krishna's glories, while the snake charmer respectfully stood to the side with folded hands.
All right. The association of Haridāsa Thakur,
By the association of Haridāsa Thakur,
everyone was inspired to glorify Lord Krishna.
everyone was inspired to glorify Krishna. Caitanya Bhagavat Adikanda 16.210.
বহির্দশায় হরিদাসের অবতরণ, ডঙ্কের পুনঃ নিত্য আরম্ভ। ক্ষণেকে রহিল হরিদাসের আবেশ, পুনঃ আসি ডঙ্ক নিত্যে করিলা প্রবেশ।
After Haridāsa Thakur returned to external consciousness, the snake charmer again began to dance.
The activities that were going on are being explained here.
The activities that were going on is being explained here. Caitanya Bhagavat Adikanda 16.211.
হরিদাসের অকৈত নিরূপ আদি কৃষ্ণপ্রেম দর্শনে সকলেরই হর্ষ। হরিদাস ঠাকুরের দেখিয়া আবেশ, সবেই হইলা অতি আনন্দ বিশেষ।
Everyone was overwhelmed with joy after seeing Haridāsa Thakur's ecstatic absorption.
Seeing the exceptional joy of Haridāsa Thakur,
Seeing the exceptional joy of Haridāsa Thakur
in his pure Krishna prema,
in his pure Krishna prema,
everyone became joyful and happy.
everyone became joyful and happy. Caitanya Bhagavat Adikanda 16.212.
সকলেরই স্ব স্ব দেহে তদীয় পবিত্র পদধূলি লেপন। যেখানে পরে তার চরণের ধূলি, সবেই লেপেন অঙ্গে হই কুতূহলী।
They all eagerly took the dust from his footprints and smeared it on their bodies.
This was a natural reciprocation at seeing his spontaneous love for Krishna.
This was a natural reciprocation, seeing his spontaneous love for Krishna.
They took the dust of his footprints and put that on their body.
They took the dust of his footprints and put it on their bodies. Caitanya Bhagavat Adikanda 213.
জৈনক ভণ্ড ধূর্ত কপট বঞ্চক আনুকরণিক প্রাকৃত সহজিয়া বিপ্র অধমের আখ্যান। তাহার বৈষ্ণব গুরু হরিদাসের কৃষ্ণপ্রীতিমূলক অপাকৃত ভাবমুদ্রাকে জড়ভুগ্য প্রাকৃত জ্ঞানে অনুকরণ সংকল্প। আর এক ডঙ্গ বিপ্র থাকি সেইখানে, মুইও নাচিমু আজি গনে মনে মনে।
One pseudo Brāhmaṇa who was in the audience thought, I will also dance today.
And this Prakita Sahaja type of so-called Brahman,
This Prakritya Sahajya type of Brahman, so-called Brahman,
he saw how Haridāsa was being respected by everyone.
he saw how Haridāsa Thakur was being respected by everyone.
He thought he would imitate Haridāsa and then get the worship of everyone.
He thought that he will imitate Haridāsa Thakur and get the worship of everyone. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.214.
ভণ্ড ধূর্ত কপট বঞ্চক আনুকরণিক প্রাকৃত সহজিয়াগণের চিত্তবৃত্তি। বুঝিলাম নাচিলেই অবোধ বর্বরে, অল্প মনুষ্যরে ও পরম ভক্তি করে।
I understand that simply by dancing, even an insignificant person, an illiterate fool, a barbarian, is greatly worshipped.
This showed the motive of this cheater
This showed the motive of this cheater
to get a worship of the people present.
to get the worship of the people present. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.215.
আনুকরণিক প্রাকৃত সহজিয়ার কৃত্রিম ভূপতন ও মূর্ছা ছল। এত ভাবি সেইক্ষণে আছাড় খাইয়া, পড়িল যেহেন মহা অচেষ্ট হইয়া।
Thinking in this way, he immediately crashed to the ground and became motionless.
So this cheating Brahman, he wanted to be worshipped by everyone.
So this cheating Brāhmaṇa, he wanted to be worshipped by everyone,
And so he imitated Haridāsa
so he imitated Haridāsa Thakur
and crashed to the ground and remained motionless as if he was in ecstasy.
He crashed to the ground and remained motionless as if he were in ecstasy,
Although he was not.
although he was not. Caitanya Bhagavat Adi Khanda 16.216.
আনুকরণিক প্রাকৃত সহজিয়ার ভূপতন মাত্র ক্রোধবশে ডঙ্কের ভীষণ ব্যত্রাঘাত রূপ আদর্শ শিক্ষা প্রদর্শন। যেই মাত্র পড়িল ডঙ্কের নিত্যস্থানে, মারিতে লাগিলা ডঙ্ক মহাক্রোধ মনে।
As soon as the pseudo Brāhmaṇa fell in the dancing arena, the snake charmer began beating him with great anger in his mind.
I can see how the snake charmer is very respectful to Haridāsa.
You can see how the snake charmer is very respectful towards Haridāsa Thakur.
He could recognize immediately that Haridāsa was feeling natural ecstasy.
He could recognize immediately that Haridāsa Thakur was feeling natural ecstasy,
But he saw this sort of Brāhmaṇa catching the ground, but he was an imitator.
then he could see the so-called Brāhmaṇa who hit the ground was an imitator.
And therefore he declared, if he's real ecstasy, he won't feel my beating.
Therefore, he said that if he is really in ecstasy, he won't feel my beating.
So then he began to beat the pseudo-Brahmana.
Then he began to beat the pseudo-Brahmana. Caitanya Bhagavat Adikanda 16.217.
আশেপাশে ঘাড়ে মোরে বেত্রের প্রহার নির্ঘাত মারয়ে ডঙ্ক রক্ষা নাহিয়ার
The snake charmer severely beat the pseudo-Brahmana with a stick around the neck, on the head and all over the body. Caitanya Bhagavat Adikanda 16.218.
তীব্র বেত্রাঘাত ফলে আনুকরণিক প্রাকৃত সহজিয়ার নিজ মূর্তি প্রকাশ ও পলায়ন বেত্রের প্রহারে দ্বিজ জর জর হইয়া বাপ বাপ বলি শেষে গেল পলাইয়া
Blah, 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 blah.
বাপ বাপ
After being beaten with a stick all over the body, the anguished Brahmana ran away screaming, "Father, Father!" Purport: the word Dhanga Vipra refers to that pseudo-Brahmana who was a hypocritical, deceitful, cheating, artificial, imitative, Prakrita Sahajya and lowest of the Brahmanas, being puffed up with the pride of being a Brahmana and being induced by his polluted intelligence, that pseudo-Brahmana tried to artificially imitate the transcendental characteristics of Mahabhagavata Vaishnava Thakur Haridāsa. He considered, due to their blind faith, whenever ordinary foolish people see or hear any dancing or singing in a petty religious function, they offer abundant respect. Therefore, since people offered such respect to Haridāsa Thakur, who was considered an ordinary human being born in a non-Hindu family, while I am born in the topmost Varna in human society, if I can imitate the characteristics and 8 ecstatic transformations of a Vaishnava Thakura's love, like an actor on stage, then no one can estimate how much profit and adoration and distinction I will achieve. When people respect an ordinary human being and non-seminal Brahmana like Haridāsa Thakur so much just by seeing his display of petty, ordinary emotions, then if I, the son of a seminal Brahmana, can simply mimic his transcendental emotions, I can't imagine how much profit, adoration and distinction I will receive. If I exhibit artificial emotions, then my insignificant material fame will certainly surpass the fame of the transcendental Vaishnava. Thinking in this way, in order to exhibit artificial sentiments, that atheistic, hypocritical, Prakrita Sahajiya suddenly fell on the ground and artificially pretended to be unconscious. As soon as that pseudo-Brahmana deceitfully exhibited artificial sentiments by which one is naturally bound to slip and fall, the snake charmer understood his deceitfulness and saw him as a disturbance and obstruction to his own dancing, and therefore began to beat him severely. He incessantly, severely and mercilessly beat that atheist on his shoulders, head and other bodily limbs. Due to the excessive beating, that fallen pseudo-Brahmana ultimately left that place shouting, "Oh Father, save me! Oh Mother, save me! I am dying."
When I was in ICU in Delhi,
When I was in the ICU in Delhi,
many people were suffering.
I saw that many people were suffering.
And one person, he was saying, "Oh, blah, 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 oh, blah, blah, blah."
One person was saying, "Oh Baap, Baap, oh Baap, Baap."
"Oh, Father, I'm suffering."
"Oh Father, I'm suffering."
And one person was saying, "Oh, Mama, Mama."
One person was saying, "Oh Mamu, Mamu."
"Oh, Mother, I'm suffering."
"Oh Mother, I'm suffering."
So, like that, he was crying out, "Bop, bop."
So like that, he was crying out, "Baap, Baap."
And he was expressing his pain.
He was expressing his pain.
So then he was revealed, exposed, that he was not in ecstasy.
So then he was revealed, exposed, that he was not in ecstasy. Caitanya Bhagavat, Adikanda, 16.219.
ডঙ্কের নির্বিঘ্নে নিশ্চিন্ত মনে নিত্য সকলের বিস্ময়, তবে ডঙ্ক নিজ সুখে নাচিল বিস্তর, সবার জন্মিল বড় বিস্ময় অন্তর।
Thereafter, the snake charmer happily continued on with his dance as everyone there watched in astonishment.
They may not have, the people there may not have understood what had happened.
The people there may not have understood what had happened.
That the pseudo-Brahman, Prakrita Sahaja imitator,
Pseudo-Brahman, Prakrita Sahajya, imitator, atheist,
and trying to get a loud puja that naturally went to Haridāsa,
was trying to gain the Labh Pratishta that actually went to Haridāsa.
But he was exposed by the snake charmer,
But he was exposed by the snake charmer,
who could recognize real emotion from imitation.
who could recognize real emotion from imitation.
Haribo.
Haribo. Caitanya Bhagavat, Adikanda, 16.220.
ডঙ্কের নিকট সকালের অপাকৃত ও প্রাকৃতের প্রতি তদীয় আচরণ বৈশিষ্ট্যের কারণ জিজ্ঞাসা। জোর হস্তে সবে জিজ্ঞাসেন ডঙ্কস্থানে, কহ দেখি এ বিপ্রেরে মারিলা বা কেনে।
Later, they all folded their hands and asked the snake charmer, Please explain to us why you beat the Brāhmaṇa. Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Khanda, 16.221.
হরিদাস নাচিতে বাজোর হস্তে কেনে রহিলা এসব কথা কহত আপনে।
And why did you stand aside with folded hands when Haridāsa Thakur was dancing?
On the public is asking why the snake charmer did what he did.
So the public are asking why the snake charmer did what he did.
He was respecting Haridāsa Thakur for his spontaneous ecstasy.
He was respecting Haridāsa Thakur for his spontaneous ecstasy.
And he was exposing the pseudo Brāhmaṇa for his cheating.
And he was exposing the pseudo Brāhmaṇa for his cheating. Thus ends the chapter entitled The Snake Charmer Respects the Dancing Haridāsa Thakura but Beats the Dancing Brāhmaṇa, under the section The Glories of Srila Haridāsa Thakura.
Thank you for watching our videos. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.